Slow down, you move too fast. Gotta make the morning last. Kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun, feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-dum, feeling groovy.
Pa-da-da-da, feeling goofy?
Feeling groovy.
Groovy.
Yes, it's an old 1960s songs that Simon and Garfunkel did. So
Mhm.
we just kind of like to play it as an opening. So welcome everybody to the bridge. We've got a special guest with us today. Julian, I'm going to have you help me in a minute with your last name. But Sandy, have you got a quote for us?
I do. This is by Duke Ellington. He was a great musician in his time. He says, "A problem is a chance for you to do your best."
Wow. Okay. So Julian, welcome. How do you say your last name?
Dumitrascu.
Oh boy, well I'm going to let you keep saying it, not me. But um,
Well,
you are you in Germany?
yes.
Okay, all right. Well, it's lovely to talk to you across the water. And Julian and I met on LinkedIn, and he's got, it almost sounds, Julian, like your business does just about everything. You said
Yes.
you talked about people, you talk about teams and data. So you kind of
Mhm.
run the gamut of doing everything. But in talking a little more about you, it sounds like communication and communication between men and women. But I'm thinking that that all comes up in teams too. So why don't you give us a little short introduction of yourself and go into why communication is so important to you?
Why? I was trying to note down that quote from Duke Ellington. Uh,
Yes,
would you say again those words?
he says that a problem is a chance for you to do your best.
Hmm. A problem is a chance for you to do your best. Well, I think that is an excellent way to put it. So one thing, I'll try to answer your question, and one other thing that relates to this and has preoccupied me for many years is solutions, finding solutions to problems. And I've kept people, I've kept hearing people say um, that they have a dream and then they talked about it with some feeling of despair. And uh, what I felt within myself can be worded like this. I felt like living for the day when I and that person see that dream come true. I felt that there must be a way.
Uh, so you've been the what I'm kind of hearing is that you have a problem or an issue, and you keep looking forward towards solving that problem so that that dream can come true.
Something like that, but it was related to. I was feeling this when I heard somebody feeling about their dream in a manner that was not confident, or in a tone that was not confident.
I don't understand that last part you said.
In a tone that didn't sound confident.
Oh, that didn't sound confident. Okay.
Because
So,
Mhm.
yeah. So when you listen to people, you can really tell their, I'm going to say passion, but that's not really the word I want, but you can tell their um,
Maybe,
stick to itiveness to
yeah,
that goal because of how they're bringing it about in their
maybe
work.
maybe a sense of self. Is that what you're thinking, Julian?
uh, I I I think about this. So when when somebody says something like, "I have this dream and I don't know if it will ever come true,"
Mhm.
um, I feel the desire or the willingness to check. uh, First of all, to listen to that person sufficiently, because I feel that it is useful for people to communicate sufficiently, and for this means that each person needs um, the premises and the opportunities to express themselves sufficiently, so
So,
that
yeah.
they understand of their themselves, what they want and in what situation they actually are, and the interlocutor also understands these things. So based on this, they can discuss, they can think together about a plan for how to get from today, from their current point,
Sure.
to that place about which they are dreaming.
So you and I have a hunch that in your work with teams and individuals, you really do a lot of coaching.
Yes and no. I mean, yeah, I like doing this, but in day-to-day work, you are many times more inclined to actually do something, get something done,
Yeah,
and this deprives you of much of the time that you might spend
right.
otherwise coaching.
Well,
Yeah.
why I'm saying that is because what I'm sort of hearing underlying what you were talking is about is you tend to push others or question others about clarity, getting clear about what they want.
Well, yes, I find that very useful. Yeah. Hmm.
And then
Clarity.
from clarity, you might get curious about um, confidence, the confidence that they have in actually believing that that dream is going to come true.
Yes, that grows as people discuss and consider enough things, because gradually they might realize that enough resources can be brought together,
Mhm,
so that the actions that are useful for reaching that goal are taken.
mhm. So, how are you yourself? Are you good at visualizing what it's going to look like when that dream comes true, or are you, kind of how do you actualize that in your own work in life?
Hopefully, um, I so when I was 18, that was 1995, I became aware of my interest in people's feelings. So I cared about what people felt and what they felt like. And I started learning about psychology. Mm. And this grew into an interest in applying that such knowledge.
Hmm.
So I started learning about psychotherapy,
Okay.
and I say this because it is related to the fact that I have been caring about um, well-being. Um, I avoided saying the well-being of beings, but you might understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
So so I've been interested for about uh, 3 decades in healthcare,
Hmm.
and um, I'm trying to answer your question indirectly. So I'm saying this as a person. So I saw myself at that time as a potential psychotherapist, but I haven't gone that way,
Mm-hmm.
and I can explain when asked why. Uh, but I felt that for a physician or a therapist to help somebody, that person, that specialist, caregiver, should ascertain what is possible. They should somehow see it, foresee it. So they would have to collect enough information and so on and so forth. But at some point, they should understand what is possible and what is probable, so that they feel about themselves that they are able to design the most effective treatment for that person together with their team. And
Sure.
so this is related to what you were asking me about. So how
Absolutely.
able am I to do that? I feel that in general I have some inclination, some skills, some
Uh,
ability to do such things, and I apply this by helping people to make plans and design solutions.
mhm. Well,
And Mhm.
what I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going
Okay.
to kind of
Mhm.
clarify what I just kind of heard you say. Not maybe clarify it, but just sort of bring it together. You are working on with the people or the person to develop possibilities and probabilities, which I'm going to consolidate into the word hope. You're helping giving them hope for a future.
This is possible, and I would contradict you in no way. I'm just saying that rather than um, um, giving people hope in a not so recommendable way, um, I um, I pay attention to what benefits people seek. We agree with them on at least one goal that they want to discuss and achieve, um, and then uh, we agree on a plan to reach that goal.
Mhm.
And of course, that feelings are involved, and I can understand the relationship of such actions to hope. Yeah,
Mhm.
in general, I would say yes. We-
Well, yeah,
But
but I'm
but
hearing that you definitely are using I would call it a coaching model because you're helping them come up with concrete goals and then creating a path for them to get there if they choose to take action.
yes, one motivation is the fact that there have been over the last at least 10 years, but I would say more. Um, Very many complaints made, for instance, publicly by people about their customer experience. And we started analyzing these things more and more deeply. And first of all, I care as a human being,
Mhm.
uh, but I didn't find it enough to care to empathize with somebody, for instance, with a stranger, and not communicate with them,
Mhm.
or simply tell a friend, "Look, I feel so bad. I just read this, or I've seen this conversation online, and I feel so bad about a service provider treating um, a user of a services so poorly." So gradually, I thought, well, what can be done about it? What can actually be done? I mean, okay, I understand. I'm willing to listen to somebody complaining, and then, you know, what
Mhm.
can be done?
Right.
And we have tried, by engaging with more and more specialists in different fields, to look as realistically as possible as at different situations, and discuss privately and publicly what can be done about certain things. And this has resulted in us creating, on the one hand, certain services, and on the other hand, thinking about customization, because it's I don't think it's enough to simply offer something
Hmm.
general. I think it is useful to understand more situations, for instance, subtypes of situations in people's lives that differ, for instance, with age, with place, and so on. And this, a concrete result of this is the creation of sole provider relationship management, because I care, each of us, I mean, trading, buying and selling and renting plays a large role in the lives of many, many people. On every day, it is possible, but very often, even daily, um, um, we make at least one transaction. For instance, if we go to work, we have an employment contract, and that is part of one transaction, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
And related to okay, so I'm making the point that I care to see trading as an interaction between people or
Hmm.
among
Okay.
uh, and I
Let me,
see
let,
this.
let me stop you for a minute because I want Sandy to jump in and see what she's hearing because she might have something to add.
Well, I'm just listening to the journey that Julian has taken in feeling like at a younger age he really cared about the feelings that were people's feelings, and he wanted to see how he could incorporate that into the mainstream of people buying and selling or customer relationships, to be able to make the transaction smoother and better. And it sounds to me like it's going beyond just that, but just in everyday life, figuring out how you're going to show up with the people in your world and what are you going to do to have a positive and a positive interaction with others.
Is,
Um,
and Julian, are you working in healthcare now, or is it just sometimes?
uh, well, I can mention that too. I was trying to make another point
Oh,
at the
I'm sorry,
moment, but
I interrupted
it's
you.
fine. No, 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 no. It's totally fine. So, and I would try to stop the advertising at that. I mean, at mentioning a second um, service provided by the group Soul Global Management, and that is Soul Healthcare. That is, we have created a team that should do just that, as I was saying,
Oh,
so that people have a place to go find mm, at least a soul representative or a relationship manager to complain to discuss their ailings
okay,
with, and so that they can uh, find a path to the treatment that is most effective in their case, in their current case, and also they would participate in making the choice. They have the last word. So,
okay. So
right,
yeah, their
yeah.
decision. Yeah,
So
that makes.
the medical staff at Soul Healthcare, first of all, advise people. They inform people, they advise people, and then yeah,
So helping them
uh,
work as a team
yeah.
with
But
the patient included.
yeah, and herewith you have brought me to the reason for which I have not become a therapist, because I have done some. You know the saying that sometimes we ask some hard questions, and I had to ask them first of all of myself. And I was making a plan for um, a healthcare practice. You know, a small team. I would be one of the therapists, and I would agree with a few other colleagues that would cover other areas. Um, and I thought, okay, if I make this plan and a handful of people are going to carry it out, um, how many people, what can I do for how many people in how much time?
Mhm.
And those figures were so small that I thought so much more must be done.
Mhm.
So there's need for so much more. Can I do more? And I gave myself the answer yes, and then it has proven over the years that yeah, that is true.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that is. Mhm.
right. Well, and I think that's why before when I said it sounds like you do a lot of coaching, you kind of operate, I think, I'm going to hunch here, on a coaching model because one of the reasons I like coaching is because it's not like therapy. Therapy takes so long, and people have to join forever, and they never come to any conclusions or get anything done. And coaching is a much speedier model. Um, I know myself, I can help somebody through coaching in 10 minutes, where in therapy it might take 2 or 3 years. So, you sound like you're much more action oriented, of wanting to help people move down that road.
I certainly appreciate what you've just shared. Um, there have been stages in my life. So I mean, some 20 years ago, um, I was more inclined with doing something more patiently, long term. And now, yes, and I think that history society pushes me into that direction. More and more must be done more and more effectively.
Hmm.
No, and we can discuss to what extent this perception of mine is realistic. Um, Related, you were saying coaching, and that reminded me of the following thing. So I was making a point about the fact that um, uh, you know sometimes people are focused on advertising, marketing,
Hmm.
selling. About the that transaction in which person one does the work and person two gives the money, something like that.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we call the first person the buyer and the second person the seller.
Oh,
And we can look at it from the other side, from the other point of view. And instead of customer relationships, we talk about relationships with our providers, with our service providers.
hmm.
Okay, but those I feel that those have been somewhat neglected, and some people have made statements from which one can gather then that we we that people are split. So one thing that people are split into buyers and sellers, and that we can treat our providers worse. And I'm willing to rethink that.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is one point that one topic that I'm willing to discuss, and I was going to say that given the fact that we've seen so so much to improve, so much room for improvement in customer experience. And I would say, looking back at the point that I've just made, in trading and business relationships, um, we've created this service to help people um, have. I was thinking first a better customer experience and a better experience with interacting with any provider. And now we're in another phase that we, I mean, we've already created a team that helps people with marketing and so on. But that again brings a new view. For we can discuss, how, for instance, marketing has been viewed over the last 3 decades. Let's say, and how it can be viewed, what we could reform. But okay, I close this parenthesis, and I get back to this, that to the extent that anybody feels necessary, um, we uh, we can help improve uh, the their interactions with anybody with whom they want to deal. For instance, with any team, any organization with which they are going to deal. And one application is the following one. And there are quite a few cases in which people are not sure about which service or which provider they're going to choose. They want something done, but they're not sure, for instance, which product would serve them best in their application. And of course, anybody is free to do anything themselves, but to the extent that we care to resort to a service provider for help, they can use a service that helps them plan, helps them choose, because one could care to admit, and some people do sometimes, that they don't really know how to plan for something, or they are overwhelmed with choices. For instance, one can open an online store. And I would say personally, simply as a fellow human being, that if I go, for instance, to Amazon.com, um, I don't find the experience great, and I would not enjoy having to spend a lot of time browsing and making a choice, given. And if I am to continue this sentence, I would have to talk or write a lot. So I stop.
So you help people to make better or faster decisions sometimes.
Yeah, for instance, informed choices, because
Choices.
maybe sometimes we need somebody on our side, because many salespeople still do something, have an approach that makes us, when we are the buyers, feel, um, to put it like this, when we look into their eyes, we see ourselves as a being they want fleeced. So instead of impulse buying and other situations that we could call suboptimal, people could choose, let me think twice, and they could also get some help with this. And I'm not referring simply to you know making. a choice like buying something for $20. Okay, if I have spent $20 wrongly, okay, let's say I've lost this amount of money.
Mhm.
But this is related to the fact that we as a group of teams think together and combine our services and efforts to help people manage their wealth.
Okay.
So we are willing and capable to understand a human being as a whole, to understand their life, to to think together with them about the following decades in their life, um, so that they can share confidently what benefits they seek. You know,
Mhm.
what good things would I like to experience, for instance, over the next 8 to 10 years?
Mhm.
And for that to come to be, what actions are more advisable?
Mhm. So, you really, somebody who comes to you or a company that comes to you pretty much can ask you a variety of types of questions that you can help advise them in.
Uh, yes, and we can respond uh, depending on our conversations with the person, to what extent we can provide a valuable input in what area,
Mhm.
and gradually they make their choices.
Sure.
But this is one thing, for instance, one thing that I feel that matters is that, there are so many. It feels like a jungle. There are so many providers in so many countries when one wants
Mhm.
to buy something, uh, and it is so costly. If one wants to make a choice, one first needs a procedure according to which one makes the choice, and to lay out that procedure is a cost in itself. Then to apply that procedure, it takes many hours, I would say
Sure.
days, to actually collect the data that you need in order to apply the procedure.
Mhm.
And some people find might prefer, the cost of some professional help instead of cost of going through this every time they really need something and want to think seriously about it.
Sure. Well, so I'm hearing that you've got lots of possibilities when someone comes to you, and then they're going to make a choice to what they might need in the moment, whether it's a system or whether it's just help with one choice. But you're there to give them the assistance that they're desiring.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, so just we're going to kind of wrap this up, and we're going
Yes.
to
Hmm.
ask a couple questions. But before we do, can you give me um, a little couple of sentences about who your um, best or perfect customer is? Who do
Ah.
you want to come and find your website?
Well, so as you pointed out, we've expanded so much that and across many countries and languages that we're willing to communicate with any human being.
Mhm.
I know that that topic matters to a business to the extent that they are specialized. So the more specialization, or the less the capacity, it matters. Well, um, to which people would I have to find so that we would be a good match? I have to keep looking for opportunities to discuss only a certain thing when
Sure.
when people need it. Yeah. Uh, um,
Well, that's good. I mean,
Rather than that, so
yeah,
we are in this position.
mhm,
So when somebody needs something, they can find an ally in us.
yeah, and
When
it
when
definitely sounds. I mean, from what I read about you, it sounds like that you are doing that, and so kind of fulfilling what you want to be doing. And maybe sometimes you get to do the personalization that you kind of desire with your psychotherapy background and desire to really make a connection with people.
uh,
So, so I'm really kind of to wrap up. We always go around and ask what's one takeaway from this conversation. We'll do that before we close. So, Julian, what might be one takeaway for you from our conversation today?
I'll try to answer that, and I'd also say this that um, so the service that I've just mentioned um, is that is created for the following reason. I live to see people, to see more people served as well as they like.
Mm,
And we try to apply this like this. I mean, so one can order with us benefit cost analysis that help them make a choice.
mhm,
And these analysis must be objective.
mhm,
And we do this instead of what some salespeople do. They say, um, "Give me your money."
mhm,
Instead of making such a statement, um, um, people are free make their choice. And when so of course we have our own services, and you I mentioned one earlier. Instead of um, telling people use self healthcare,
mhm,
instead of doing something like this, um, besides helping them make a choice, um, um, which is done by a team that I'm saying must be objective. They are independent from the other teams in our group. Uh, when when somebody so when we've created a service in this group, we've created it um, either because that service is fairly new, different from what has been offered, but had been available,
mhm,
or because there was considerable room for improvement
mhm,
in that market, and we've built a team that has taken on the responsibility to bring about some improvement.
mhm. Okay. Okay.
Uh, and the takeaway, well, I continue avoiding to advertise, because the takeaway would be, let's say, a summarization of the fact that I've been talking about my teams. Um, to me, it is important that one day um, we started communicating.
Mhm,
We've agreed to talk publicly because
mhm.
you said that this recording is you're going to publish it. And with this, we start um, a public conversation.
Okay.
And I, I believe in public communication, whether we do it online or offline. I think that it is useful. And I think that anybody can be touched by something that you've said or I've said, and they can share maybe a related feeling, and that can help us at least as human being come together and shine light on an issue or another.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
through such actions, we can improve something. Hopefully,
Great.
we can improve something
Sure.
over the following months. To the
That would be
extent that the issue is so big that that it cannot be improved this soon,
yeah,
um, we can work for decades on this.
yeah,
When I die, the following generation can take over and add what they can to what we've done.
that's right. Make things better. Sandy, what's a takeaway for you?
My takeaway in listening to Julian is to remember the importance to care about the outcomes of people's life experiences. That
Hmm.
can include that can include family relations, that can include any kind of community. It can be about your career and about, you talked about, Julian, the health systems that people are trying to work through. And I know there's challenges on my end. My husband and I, when we ended up retiring and trying to figure everything out about Medicare, boy, it was not an easy, and you don't know what you're getting, and you don't always know what response you're going to get from the people that you're,
That's right.
reaching out to. So I understand what you're saying. It is important for people to be ready to receive the customer in a way that is productive and caring and respectful.
Yeah, and I'm taking away, Julian, I really appreciate the fact that, at your core is that human connection because of your interest in psychotherapy and connection with people. And then you brought it out to a bigger whole with the work that you're doing, and you're, doing the work because of where your heart is. And I appreciate that.
I I feel understood. Um, well, that is the subjective part which regards myself, but as a team, we think that it is useful to start building rapport as soon as possible, and we see it as a continuous occupation.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, Julian, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And we're going to say goodbye now. Goodbye to everybody. And Julian, would you hang on just for a minute so once this recording stops, we can do a little debrief?
Yes.
Thanks. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.